when you say that diversified, that can mean so many different things to different people. It can be the types of investment, right?
Yeah,
Or it can be
for sure.
even within your market, you can diversify. You can, you're buying mostly C class, but I don't know, maybe you find an A class. That's
Right?
diversification.
Yeah, I love that, and I love that what you said a few minutes ago is, when I bought this first property, I didn't know what I didn't know, but I just kinda jumped in, and I think that's the key, right? So, anybody that comes on my show and says, "Oh, everything's great, and I'm making tons of money," they don't talk about all the money they've lost. They don't talk all of the bad things that happen, right? There's ups and downs of being investors, and I think the most important thing is take your foot, step forward, and you learn from every experience. So you just need to know that it's not going to be perfect, and for somebody to come out there and say otherwise, they're lying to you. Or
Yeah, yeah.
you can buy a rental and you could quit your job in a year. No.
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 I'd like to know what that rental is, and I'd like to buy it as well.
Yeah, exactly. Even, kind of like off on a segue here, when you talk about someone being able to quit their W-2, there's a lot of things that you have to think about before you cut the ties with that W-2. How are you going to afford your health insurance? Do you have the right buckets of money sitting around for the oh shit moments, for the how am I going to invest with additional money? What so on and so forth. So I love that this teacher's still working and hopefully thinking about setting up that structure for long-term wealth so that she's not one of those people that have multiple streams of income coming in and then one day going, "Oh, not maybe I need to get a second teaching job, or maybe I need to get one," right? Because they're not doing the right thing with all of their money. Because you kinda have to set up that structure, right? And that's kind of one of the things that we're thinking about now as my husband works a W-2. It's like, you got to set up that real structure because if I go to a bank and I don't have a job, my husband doesn't have a job, then what do you think the banks are going to say if Jackie and Melvin didn't build a relationship with ABC Bank? They're going to say denied because they hate entrepreneurs.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So there's
Yeah,
so much to think about.
I agree. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. There is a benefit to having a W-2 job, like you said. Every single thing that you said. But yeah, I think it's the thing that I've seen with most of my people that I work with, most of my clients, and I always am very frank and upfront about all the things that you said, is I'm like, again, this is not, the guru, you know, riding in a Ferrari, like, "Hey, you're gonna make all this money," and all these YouTube videos. Those are hilarious, and I think that they're so funny, but they're also so misleading. Oh my gosh, I've talked to so many clients that are like, "I spent 30, 40, $50,000 on education going to these crazy big seminars," and
I did
yeah,
that. I did
"You
that.
did that? Oh my gosh, it's
Yeah, we
heartbreaking." I'm
probably
like,
Yeah, we probably spent $125,000 the first year to get ingrained in everything real estate, which,
"Wow."
I look back at the return and the return is, oh, am I sorry I did that? In some ways, maybe I felt like we spent too much, but I felt like we needed to be around those people. We needed to be around the language. We needed to get in those circles. We needed to jump into deals. We needed to learn from jumping in those deals. So maybe I would have felt a little bit better if we would have maybe spent 50,000 or 25,000 on education versus six figures. But it is what it is. But the most important thing is we jumped in and we're like, man, we're gonna take this step. So was that a mistake? Okay, maybe that was a mistake. But again, Melissa, that's how we learn, right? You gotta jump in, you gotta start doing because
Yep.
that's the best way to learn.
Well, and you did it right. Like, you are the rare person who spent the money on that education and actually took it seriously and did it. And like you said, you learned from it. You were around the people. Like, I believe in that. I believe in paying for it and actually doing it. But what I was talking about is I had this client that's like, "Yeah, I don't even want to wholesale." And for some reason, I got bought this $40,000 package to wholesale. He's like, "I just wanted to buy rental properties. Like, I don't want to own them." He just got completely swindled into some system, and then when I talked to him, he's like, "Melissa, that was money I could have put for a down payment on a house. And that's the thing that people need to be really clear on is, what type of investor do you wanna be? Do you wanna be an active investor? Do you wanna be a passive investor? How much time do you have? How much money do you have? Those are the things to think about first to see, do you wanna spend the $100,000 on education? Because 'Cause they're gonna teach you what you actually wanna learn.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great point, and the kind of investor, like you were saying, we're active investors and we're passive investors. So we actively manage our almost 100 doors here in our local market, and we're also passive investors. So as we continue to think about building our net worth and our journey here, we need to think about how much more time do we want to spend? There are other things that we can do that are passive. Do we buy some turnkey properties that maybe see some appreciation, which is something that we aren't key on in our local market? But I love that. And you sparked a new thought in my head about some things that we can do to shake it up a little bit and get diversified, right? Which is how we actually named our podcast, is because we believe in a diversified investment portfolio.
Absolutely. And you know what? When you say that diversified, that can mean so many different things
Yeah.
to different people. It can be the types of investment, right?
Yeah,
Or it can be
for sure.
even within your market, you can diversify. You're buying mostly C class, but I don't know, maybe you find an A class. That's
Right.
diversification.
Exactly. Exactly. So, when people say that too, it's like, well, what do you mean by that? Right? Like you said, we can buy some A class. Maybe we can, you know, there's time we could maybe invest in some oil and gas, right? And get some really
Yeah.
big depreciation. Right. So a lot of it depends on what are your needs today. And that changes. I think the mix of what your investment portfolio looks like changes as you continue to grow. And what's most important to you changes too. Time right now, we have a 10-year-old. So we have a little bit of time. But I'll tell you what, when he's 12 and 13, I'm gonna be following him around while he's chasing the girls, and I want more time to be doing that. So maybe we're gonna wanna step back a little bit and put other things in place, right? So super important to think about, is you grow and continue on your journey.
Yeah, and most of my clientele that I've been working with are busy working professionals. A lot of people in California, like I said, who are like, hey, I work in the tech industry, in San Francisco and or the Bay Area, and I make really good income and I like my job and I don't plan on leaving my job. And I'm not going to fly out to Kansas City and renovate a property. But I want to start building this rental portfolio because we know the value of real estate in this country. We all see it every year. And so, it is a long-term strategy, but and so that is my what I do for my own portfolio is I mean, I do own some short-term rentals here in California because the math does make sense for those. But my portfolio is long-term rentals, set it, forget it. I've got teams that find the properties for me. All the properties that I buy and I help people buy are all off market. So I've got builders
Nice.
and flippers that come to me directly and say, "Hey, Melissa, here's some properties. These are newly renovated." And then I've got vetted out property managers in all those markets, all the systems, the title companies, the lenders, like everybody is kind of there and built. And so
Nice.
somebody like that tech person can go, "Hey, Melissa, I want to buy a property. Help me do it." Okay, done. Here's a property. Here's the
Yeah.
property manager. Here's the lender. Just sign. We'll go through the inspections and the appraisals and all the things like normal, but they don't have to do anything. That's why I call it lazy investing. I mean, I buy properties from my couch every day. I don't fly out there. I don't see them. I'm just buying them and setting them aside.
Yeah, I love that. And yeah, you just got me to think about some other things that we can be doing that may make sense. So how do people that are interested listening to this podcast and go, "Oh my gosh, Melissa has it. She's exactly what I have, a little bit of money here and I want to like buy a property where I don't have to worry about it." How does somebody do that? How do they find you?
Yeah, great. Thank you so much for asking me that. So, I just started a new community. It's on a platform called School. I'm going to be on there, but there's going to be a lot of free education on there. I've got some really cool one free piece I have in there is called How to Start Being a Lazy Investor. Like, the things that you need to think about, like what is your financial freedom number? What is that number? How many rental properties do you want to own? What is the types of strategies that you are thinking about? Like we talked about, do you want to be an active investor or passive investor? And different things like that. And what markets actually make sense and what markets are even out there to think about. And so I just want to get people really thinking. And I think that's the thing is because we aren't taught this in school. And so I want people to start just kind of thinking and planting and seeing if this even makes sense for them. So anyway, so that freebie is in there. Go to hellomelissanash.com. So www.hellomelissanash.com. And you can sign up and you can join my free community. You can also apply to work with me directly. So there's a button on there. And then once you're in that school platform, and like I said, it's brand new. So we've got about 50 people in there right now. And people are in there talking about the real estate deals. And, there's going to be free education. And I'm going to be going through deals, how to run numbers on properties and different things like that. And then people have the opportunity to get access to that off market inventory. So the goal is to take action. I mean, education is only education. It's great. But if you don't put the action piece with it, this, you talk to people every day that just sit in analysis paralysis. So I really built it so people like move, like do it, take action.
Yeah. And I love that what you do doesn't you can give them the education which you need to know, but they can get started and they can learn from what they're doing with little effort. And that's all to it. That's all to it. It's
Yeah,
just
it's just,
get
yes,
started.
yeah. And it's just giving people confidence. I think that's the biggest thing is I don't think I would have done my first property if I didn't have somebody there just kind of encouraging me, really holding my hand, being a little bit of a cheerleader, being like, "Hey, you can do this." And, it wasn't that I couldn't do it. It was just that extra just little confidence, somebody helping me that just I really needed that for my first deal. And then that's what I really provide to my clients, honestly, is okay, you have the education now, you have the abilities to take action. Now I can hold your hand a little bit and give you the encouragement.
Yeah, exactly. And do you wanna talk about pricing structure for your program, like one-on-one, or are you still working through that?
Yeah, no, so actually inside my community, you'll have the opportunity. There's a lot of, like I said, my goal is number one, a lot of free education in there. Then you have the opportunity to pay a monthly membership fee. And that monthly membership fee is, I think right now I'm going to start it. It's going to be under $200 a month. And once you're in there, you're going to get to work with me. You're going to get off market deals. You're going, I have my cat he just jumped up on here. He's a big guy. Anyways, so yeah, so it's gonna be under $200 a month, and you're gonna get access to live off-market properties. These properties are exclusive. You're gonna be able to run deals on them. I wanna teach you how to know if a property is good or bad.
Right.
What is cash on cash return? How to get financing, what are the financing types? All of this we're doing inside of there. And so, yeah, and so I have that program. And then if somebody really, really, really wants a lot of hand holding and one-on-one, my programs, I've got two programs. One is 2,500 and one is 5,000. And both of those programs are a little bit more because you get me. And
Yeah.
so I have to charge for my time. I can't just
Yeah,
give it
no,
away
I
for
get it.
free all the time.
I get it. I get it. I
But
get
yeah,
it.
that's for the people that are like, "Hey, Melissa, build me out this plan. Let's do this. I wanna scale," and, really kind of put the action to it. But for most people, though, I just think that being a part of that free community, and then eventually if somebody wants to actually get access to all the deals and start running them and working with them, then that under $200 a month is just awesome.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, Melissa, we're out of time. I could talk for hours
Mhm.
and hours to you about all this stuff. I get super excited and pumped about real estate as well. But we got to go, but hopefully we'll keep in touch, and all of our viewers here will take some action. Please contact Melissa, get involved with her community if this is something that you think sounds like it may fit into your strategy and your lifestyle.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. It was amazing chatting with you today, and I know we're gonna hang up on this call and have some conversations.
Yes,
So
for sure.
thank you. Thank you for
Bye bye.
having me. Bye.
Jacqueline and Melvin, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to listen to this episode of Get Diversified. Please make sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on future episodes. Finally, stop by our website and follow us on social media. Ciao for now. Make it a great day, and we'll see you next time. And remember, get diversified.